Welcome to the space where creators have aligned a positive and intellectual collab of open minds. For sharing and learning from one another, it's a vibe. Read your Rosa podcast on the mic. Subscribe, educator spitting bars. I guess you didn't know I'm multifaceted and humble, checking off life goals. The classroom is my comfort zone where I plant and sow seeds of knowledge, compassion, empathy, and hope. Reading is the key to unlocking your potential. Countless benefits, including cognitive and mental. Regardless of the genre, books are highly influential. Go get yours, I'll get mine. Making strides, monumental. Come rock with me and get down to this new jam. Reaching out to my friends, I had a very simple plan. Educate the masses through books and life lessons. It's the grand slam. I'm out. Tala Falava, and welcome to the Reads with Rosa podcast. I'm a little bit excited. No, I am so excited because today on the show we have some special guests. They are the authors of the new children's book, Socks. Welcome to the show, Wordsworth and Darnell Wright.
Hey.
I need to invest in a button, I think. How are we, fam? How are you guys doing?
Good morning. I'm great. We're great. We're excited. We stay with the same energy, just trying to stay motivated.
Absolutely.
Man, I'll never say, because I know, like, we were like talking the document and stuff, and
Right.
but I was like, oh my gosh, the book's done. These guys are actually coming on the show to talk about the books. before we talk about this amazing children's book that you guys have put out, I just want to ask you two to introduce yourselves. Either or. I don't know who wants to go first, but
I'll let Words go.
I'm Wordsworth. I used to have a TV show called Lyricist Lounge Show, so I got a lot of notoriety from that angle, but also being an MC just on the underground scene for many years, and then doing other things, working on cartoons, SpongeBob, Peabody and Sherman, and doing other movies and stuff like that, music for movies and TV shows and stuff like that. So, but really in the group EMC, so people might know we Matt Station Strickland and Punchline was really in that group, Punch and Word. So I would say just all around artists and everything.
Myself, Darnell Wright. I'm actually a comedian, and I've been traveling. I've probably been to every single state doing comedy, a bunch of schools, all the colleges, doing stand-up, all the comedy clubs. And I actually was on a little silly show that you guys probably have heard of. I Love New York. I was on that. But that was more of just trying to just get my name out there. So don't think I actually loved her. Did a bunch. I pretty much the country doing comedy, and now linked up with my good brother to help write this book.
Yeah, I gotta be honest, fam, because when Words was like, we're writing this book, I'm writing it with my really good friend Darnell. I was like, Darnell, okay, so if Words is famous, this guy must be famous too. So I did way back then, months ago, did do a little bit of research on you, but I was like, let's not judge him. He was young. It's great to have you both here. I guess getting into it, like, you're very good friends. What made you decide to write a book? Like, is it a conversation that has been had for quite a while, or?
Yeah, it was really going to be a script. It started out as a movie script first, and then Darnell actually introduced me to his cousin Lamar about drawing characters for the script, and then after a while of working on it and life takes hold, it just kind of got put to the side because I kind of almost felt like doing a script. I really didn't have any. I didn't have any agents to really gain traction. That's like a whole nother world when you're trying to do movies. You gotta have agents. You gotta have somebody that can get it to the agent, and the agent has to be interested in trying to pitch it. They're trying to knock down doors for you, and it just felt kind of like a task. It felt like it was going to be a difficult task to go that route. So my mindset was just like, all right, I gotta work on other things to bring this to life. So that's typically what I do. I never stop forgetting about something, but it's like I need to do other things. So I went on and kept doing music and then wrote another book and other stuff to kind of keep trudging forward to gain ground so I can bring up socks again. But who brought it up before I got back to it was Darnell. So Darnell, you can go from there.
Yeah, so I thought the idea was phenomenal when Words actually pitched it. And it's probably I might have my years off with Words. This probably was 12 years ago, 11 years ago, something to that effect when he actually brought it up. So when he brought it up, I thought the idea was phenomenal at that time. And again, like Words said, he wanted it as a script. And I was like, man, this is going to be a movie. I just kept saying it at that time, it's going to be a movie. I don't care what anybody says. It's going to be a movie. That idea is phenomenal. But like Word said, we just didn't know how to make that happen.
Yeah.
So when COVID happened, I'm like, we got nothing but time. We got nothing but time to figure this out, man. So I remember the day I called him up. I was in the kitchen. I remember, I think I was making some nonsense. I think I was making some pasta. And I called the Words and I said, hey, what's up with socks, man? And he said, yo, I think the best idea for us to do is to actually make a book, and then we can pitch that. If we pitch the idea as far as the book and people read it, then they'll be on our side to say that this should be a movie as well. We won't just be the only people that are trying to pitch an idea as far as a good idea that should be a movie. So I'm sitting at home, and we started writing the book. Word started writing, and then they gave me the reins to write a little bit more, and then we started writing it together, coming up with crazy ideas. Now, I'm not even going to lie to you. As a comedian, I never wrote a book in my entire life. So at the time when I wrote it, I pretty much wrote it as a script again.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, so he write, he writes in a certain manner that he's trained to do, and I'm trained to write in certain manners too, because I can probably write necessarily the way jokes would be presented, right? So I'm writing the book. I start writing the book, and then I go back and check on what he's written, and I'm like, yo, you're writing a script again. You write the dialogue, and this person says this and that, and I was like, nah, that's not how a book is written, though. So then we had to go through it and rearrange the format of how a book is written. So but the thing is, right? I've been friends with him, I think, going close to 30 years, right? So it could have been, he could have been offended and been like, nah, this and that, right? And I think that's the key to our friendship, is the fact that throughout the process, we don't get offended. Like, we want to get better. So if he tells me something, he's the comedian on the side of it. So if he comes up with a joke, I'll listen to the joke, and then I'm like, oh, that's cool. You know what I'm saying? I could go like, that's cool. Or I may not agree with it. I might write something. He'd be like, that don't make sense. How did they do this? And I'll be like, yeah, you're right. That don't make sense. So let's fix it. But we're not taking it personal. We're taking it to make what's best for the project. And I think our friendship allows that to happen. Yeah. So people don't realize that's key to getting things done. Working with other people and knowing to have that that ability to remove the personal side out of it and try to do what's best for the book. So that's why we made it to actually have the book done. So we have the book done because we're able to work together.
Yeah, because honestly, when I found out that Darnell was a comedian, and then when I was starting to read, as you were drafting, I was just like, this must be what he put in. And then I read another, this was definitely Words. I can kind of see that. And it's so interesting that you mentioned it. I'm like, man, because some people, they just can't work with their friends. But I love how you've said, you just don't take it personal. I'm like, yo, that's super professional. It's some people just can't do it, but you guys have done it.
Thank you. Yeah, I actually, and I've worked in comedy doing the Lyrics Lounge show, and I've worked on comedy doing other stuff, but I don't necessarily think in that manner constantly. I think kind of in a rhyme manner. If you ask me to rhyme right now, I can do it instantly. If you ask him to come up with jokes, that's his thing. So I have to respect that that's his thing. And then in the same tone, he'll respect if I say something. He respects the fact he knows my experience in that. So I think the fact that we respect each other arenas, it allows things to flow smoother.
Yeah, they had a great team in general because obviously they got the joke part, and Words has been on the other side as far as working in TV and things like that. So that's literally where we believe that this book is going to go. Then my cousin was part of it, where he was putting all the drawing, things like that. And I know we drove him crazy because even as much as we had to retrack a lot of stuff for the book, we had to make him redraw things and stuff. His first really big project as well. So for all three of us, this is something that we believe will be a movie. It will be a movie one day, and we all have the same goal in our mind when we were constructing.
Oi, shout out to Lamar Richardson, right? He was responsible for the illustrations. And was there ever a point that you three were in the same room? Or, obviously in this day and age, we can just do things via FaceTime, Messenger, chat.
Let me tell you, I'm glad you brought that up, because that was a key component to getting this book done. So the thing about getting this book done was the fact that accountability and dedication. So we made sure every 2 weeks we had a meeting scheduled, and we stuck to those 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks we were on this Zoom discussing what we did, where we're at with it. And I think you have to have that. Now, to answer the question, we've never been in the same room together. I've never met his cousin Lamar until we got on Zoom, and stuff like that. So that shows you the dedication to the conversations. It led to completion, because you got to be dedicated. Once one person's not dedicated, I don't know about I can't make it this week. Now everybody else vibe is, you ain't trying to make it. I don't know about what I'm doing this week. I could have been doing this. I could have been fishing. So it's the fact that we all said every 2 weeks what date we can do. And that's what I think a lot of people hopefully could take from hearing this conversation, is find some people that y'all can make a pact with each other and say, we're doing this. This is what we need to do it and get it done.
Yeah. I think ever since, and for me, I made sure that I wanted to be readily available, is because, like I said the first time, ever since Words pitched the idea, like the idea alone, when you hear it, I've stayed, like, my fire is just like, yo, this has to happen. Because when people read the book, you're going to really realize that the actual book has a lot of lessons in it. So just him speaking about what he wanted as far as just the part of the movie, I've never not wanted this thing to actually come to fruition. So I want people to read the book, because I've had the fire since 12 years ago. And now people are like, 12 years ago? It took you 12 years to write a book? Nah, it's just that the fire was in me 12 years ago. It took us 2 years to actually write the book. But like Words is saying, we were dedicated to making this idea happen, and we all had the same vision on, this has to happen. So I think that's what really made all three of us make those meetings and make sure that we were readily available for each other.
And we needed that time, because none of us have written a children's book before.
Right. Correct.
So that's a whole nother style. It's a whole nother ball game, a whole nother direction of writing. So now that we've learned it, now we know, like, we can do it. But that in itself, you're questioning everything, because it's like, this is a different arena. I ain't been in this arena before. I've written this for that, written this for that. Then you're understanding that it's going to be judged by a different audience. Parents buying it, hoping that it's something they can convey to their kids. Correct. So if they can't convey it to their kids, or if they're struggling with it, they don't find the value in it to convey to their kids. So we feel that we came up with a book that, when it's found and handed down generation after generation after generation, it's going to stand the test of time.
I have a question. I've been wondering all this time. Did you have to do research? Because you've mentioned, there's a certain style of writing a children's book. So I know, obviously Words, you've done some writing. Darnell, this is your first time, although you write with the script in mind. So did you do research? Did you have to kind of, I don't know, do a course or something to kind of get you started on, writing for a particular audience, or was it just learning as you go?
I would say to get started, the fact that I'm a teacher, and as a teacher as well, I teach middle school, so that's the range with writing. And I used to teach reading, so I did
Right.
different passages, different stories. So I'm familiar with the language and the I guess you could say the grammar and the difficulty and the words and the lexile, and there's like a lot of things that go into making these books for that age range. That if you use like a word like let's say excavated or something like that, you got to really be like, I don't know if they're gonna understand excavated. You got to put yourself in those shoes and say, yeah, I think we should change this to something else. Let's find a synonym for that word. So we've done that.
Yeah,
That was a big deal with me and him going through it. We're going through the book and we're going like, I don't know that word. Let's get a synonym for that. Let's get a synonym for that that's more universal. So that's another thing, another task, and part of it is just being mindful of your audience. And we both performers, right? So when I come on stage, audience, I'm reading my audience. He comes on stage, we're reading our audience. So doing it, we're like, okay, we know what our audience is. So that line is going to be too difficult to understand. This line is kind of like, because our craft, he's writing jokes and predicting how they'll land. I'm writing songs, trying to predict how they'll land. So there is a craft in what we were writing, just being able to survey it.
I would say that people are going to be extremely satisfied reading this book is because the part about socks, we did a lot of research as far as socks are concerned. Like, oh, some socks that are just flowing around and stuff like that is actually a part in the book without ruining it, where they get to a place. This place is well, I can say it because it's on the back of the book, but they get to Soul.
Yeah.
They get to Soul City, and when they get to Soul City, we really took we did a lot of research as far as what socks would want to do in their land. And there's things that even if you read the book and you'll be like, well, I didn't even know about a sock donor or something to that effect. There's just things that we make put in there. So when we do make it to the big screen and you're looking at it, you're like, these are actually things for socks. Like socks would love doing this. So we really did a lot of research as far as that is concerned. It's not a book where we just ran through it and just was like, oh, we want to put something together. We made sure that when people read it, it's authentic. If a sock was to wake up tomorrow and was to read this book, he would be like, yeah, I think this is exactly what I would do. This is all I want to have part of.
I mean, as far as the research, like he's saying, like there's a lot of vocabulary dealing with the sock world that we felt important. But then Darnell, right? I have the script. I'm writing the book and things like that. He created the character Holy.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the most beloved characters people talk about.
Yeah.
They reflect and they can relate to what he's saying and things like that. So that's one of the things, me writing that, I wouldn't probably thought about Holy, but that's something he came up with. And these characters he's coming up with on top of what I'm coming up with. And that's from research of, we've all had holy socks. We've all had this. This is missing. This is missing. It's about your socks. So it's a lot of, using teacher language, background knowledge. It's a lot of background knowledge that we have from just living our daily lives.
Absolutely.
I want to talk more about the characters, but before I do that, I want to read the synopsis of the book. So socks, where do they go? I'm sorry. Before I read this, I just love the play on words. Anyways, carry on. Socks.
I want to give credit. That's Lamar. He did the book cover like that, and he came with that. So yes.
Oi, that's awesome. Okay, so socks, where do they go? The age-old question has finally been answered. A cast of warm-hearted socks, Susie, Holy, and a friendly flashlight named Fred, embark on a journey to get lost sock Russell back home before his big soccer game. In the midst of it, they find a socks paradise, Soul City. That's Sole, by the way. Oh, genius. Russell's determination to return home becomes in jeopardy when the rest of the group are conflicted with staying in Soul City or helping Russell reach his goal. I had to read that because I want to talk about the character names, like the discussion that went on around that.
Yeah, there was some underlying discussions with Russell having that name because of something else. We would hopefully like to maybe get some Russell Athletics.
Yeah.
Russell Athletics to sponsor and endorse the book.
Oi.
Yeah.
Genius.
See?
Fam, come on now.
Yeah, that's the main thing about the character Russell is the fact that we're thinking outside of the book. We're thinking, well, Russell Athletics makes socks, so maybe they would be interested in sponsoring us in some shape, form, or fashion, or a deal. So those things. That's it from our experience.
Even bigger
Yeah.
than that.
Yeah.
This is what Russell's name is, and people are gonna freak out. So the book is it's placed in Seattle. At the time, the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks was Russell Wilson. In the United States, we have Wilson socks. You have Wilson Athletics, so you can get Russell. You can get the Wilson socks, and then Russell Wilson was the quarterback of the Seattle Seahawks, and this is based in Seattle. So that's how far we were thinking as far as the name Russell was concerned.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of thinking because the branding and the marketing and trying to go further with it. So the names, yeah, definitely that's where Russell kind of stemmed from. It's like, well, let's try to find something that can have some commonality. We're going further.
Yeah.
Boy, that's so cool.
And like Susie Sock, I don't know if you, but like Susie Sock is really just like loving the way that it sounds from an alliteration point of view. Susie Sock. Flashlight Fred. It's a lot of alliteration with the names. And then Holy, he came up with that. And that the way it was spelled originally, we had to think about the way it was spelled because we didn't want to get into no religious areas with
people like protesting outside your homes and stuff. I mean, what is that?
It's a lot of thought. It's a lot of thought you have to think about, right? You have to put yourself in other people's shoes respectfully because everybody has a different way to interpret stuff. There's things today that are already. You can do 2 + 2 in the world right now, and you ask everybody, what does 2 + 2 mean? A majority is to say 4. You're going to get some people that's going to be like, nah, it's really 3, because if you divide it and you got this, and back in the days, they used to actually 2 was only worth 1. It's people that would find a way to disagree and have an issue. So,
man, so. I was wondering, you are both fathers, and at any point in this whole process, did you kind of like maybe ask your children to like read a bit of this? What are your thoughts here and there? Or was it like, no, let's just keep it in the group and we'll surprise them?
I did not bring my daughter. My daughter is into the weird part is this is about socks, right? And my daughter's into fashion. So you would think that she would be like, yeah, sure, no problem. But my daughter, she's like a real, like she's about as 13 as you could possibly be as a teenager. So I have her sit down, like I've told her about it, and she was like, sounds like a good idea, and then go back on her phone, like, yeah.
Yeah, my daughters, they're older, but I did like kind of survey them on the fact of how did the characters look. And things like that. So doing like a reveal of the poster and stuff like that, like, yeah, check this out and stuff. So that's the way that I kind of surveyed them. As far as story wise, they're kind of more so like when you get it done, let me see what you got.
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't mean to cut you off, but the good thing is that I feel like we're cheating because Words works at a school.
Right.
So as the color for the book and everything, we did ask his students what color they like, because we went through like 4. I'm telling you, people think that you just come out with a book and like, oh yeah, just draw some characters and we'll just put some words on a page. Like we literally surveyed the kids at his school as far as the color of the book is concerned and what colors would be best. I think we had 4 different things that he brought to his school, and they were like, oh yeah, that one is the best one. So whatever the kids loved, we went with. So we really took a lot of time to at least get their perspective on what the cover should even look like at the time. And I'm pretty sure they'll be excited when they see that they actually chose the cover that we have now.
Right.
Yeah, words, because as an educator, I was wondering, you've mentioned like thinking about the audience, being a middle school teacher. Do you believe that this is a book that we could get class sets into your school where they're actually reading it?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the thinking behind that?
Yeah, I actually am looking forward to getting it ordered for my school, and then also want to tap into some people about getting it ordered for the district. The thing is, they have to read it and then okay it. So I got to give a copy to my principal, let them read it and okay it. But right now, there's so much going on with recovering from the hurricane, and that's a lot. That's still going on. That the book isn't important right now. It's really about getting everybody back to normalcy. So as soon as things kind of calm down, then I'll give them a copy and let them do it. But I already kind of have spoken to the librarian about it, and I want to get it on a bigger scale. So if my principal likes it and we get some ordering there, I want to tap into the district and see about every library ordering some copies of it and going to a further stance with it.
Darnell, I want to ask you this question because Words has published. He's had a book out, but for you, man, describe that feeling to see your name. You're an author. You're a published author now. Like, man, what was that like for you to actually get the copy? And I mean, because it's when you look at your screen, it's like, okay, I got a PDF file and whatnot. It's on the dock, but to get an actual copy,
It's so satisfying is because of the journey. I think more of the journey makes it super satisfying. Before the book even came out, Words would always say, you should write a comedy book or something to that effect. So for this to actually be completed means a lot because of the journey that we went through 12 years ago, talking about just the idea. COVID happens. Now we're writing the book, going through the ups and downs of trying to get this book perfect for the people. And then eventually saying, "Hey, the book is out." So, and trust me, as soon as I got my first copy, I looked at my name and I said, "People are not going to believe in the world I have a goddamn author." It's not in the world people are going to believe this. But I want people to understand that as silly as I am, this book took very, very with and with words. When you read it, it has so many different lessons, and it has all the lessons and all the comedy and just the journey that you get when you watch a book. You'll enjoy it. I know you've already read the draft. You read the draft of it, but it's such a good book for kids to read and adults because of all the lessons and things that we actually embedded in the.
Yeah, I think that's what's really important is what you've mentioned is that it is a book that is not, I mean, it is a children's book geared for that audience, but adults can read it as well because the life lessons and the experiences that come from, I mean, man, I was like, man, I have never thought about socks like this. Like, like I think we're all kind of like, yeah, you lose a sock and you're like, did I leave it at the laundromat? Wait, who took the other pair of my sock? You just don't think about that. But then in this book, and then just the fact there's all these like life lessons that can apply to all ages. Like, I think that's what's so different about this book. Like, yes, it is for children, but man, even adults, when we read it, it's like, oh, I didn't think of it like that, but it really is. I think that's what makes it extra special.
Absolutely. I think when people read it, when you get to the end of it, and like as far as the life lessons, you're going to enjoy reading it. It's not going to be like when are we getting to the end? It's actually, I've had a couple of my friends, their kids read it, and he said he told his kid, like, I can't believe I got to ask this kid to stop reading the book to go to bed. Like, he's like, it's usually video games or something to that effect, but there's such a journey that's going on in this book with all four of the socks. You want to see what's going to happen at the end, and no chapter that you feel like, oh, this is dragging. every chapter has some wild going on. So I think people, like you said, kids and adults will enjoy this book when they read it.
Yes.
Words, because you've published before, is there anything that you did different this time around, working with Darnell in terms of self-publishing, or were you just kind of building on that knowledge from, you know, previous experience?
I use a lot of previous experience knowledge. I mean, it makes things go way faster, of course, but we had some hiccups that we couldn't foresee as far as sometimes a file may act up and you get confused with that. Then also, um, Darnell, having Darnell, I had to call him. I called Darnell like last week just to thank him for his determination because, a lot of times I'm a one man army. I do music and everything else. Everything that I've done, a lot of times it's just me having to do it, and having a partner there to help is extraordinary. So a lot of it, yeah, I did use experience, but then Darnell came with some other aspects as far as making sure the Kindle version looks proper, as far as making the paperback look proper, making sure that the hardcover looks properly. So like there's a lot of things with it, with the formatting and stuff like that, in which sometimes I don't have time to really do it. I'll get to it, but I don't have the time. So it's definitely an honor to have him help me, because anything going wrong, he was on it. I mean, he spent hours sometimes. He would dedicate days sometimes. He's like, I'm off the whole day tomorrow. Like, I don't know too many people that say, yeah, I'm off the whole day tomorrow. That's all I'm doing is working on this. He would take a whole day and stuff. And I'd be like, yo, you don't got to put the whole day into it. And like, he's like, nah, I'm home. It's cool. I can do it. So where do you meet people like that? That is the key to life, to being successful, right? I don't get the Sox book done without meeting somebody as determined about and passionate about something that I created too. You got to meet people that's on the same wavelength with you. And this guy right here is the reason why you got a book that's properly made. You get it in your hand, you feel it. It's you like, man, this is a real book. You get to say it's a real book, and I think that's what's so weird. When people get it, they like text or hit me back like, "Oh, this is a real book." It's like, are we selling fake books? It's a real book. But yeah, having Darnell there to clean up some of the messes is what it was.
It's just about it goes back to what we were saying. That idea is so amazing. That Words had the idea alone. It gave me passion to actually have this come to fruition. So just the idea alone, that's why we're trying to be like, hey, when you read this book, it's almost impossible for you not to love it, because the idea alone is such an amazing idea. So I'm excited to even have worked with Words. I'm excited to work with Lamar, both of them. Just get this idea out to the public. I know for a fact when the public reads it, they're gonna be like, this is. They're gonna say the same thing that we said 12 years ago. Why is this a movie? Like, why is this a movie?
Yeah.
You're gonna see the same vision that he had 12 years ago.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I remember sometimes I like send Darnell a message. I'm like, "Hey, I just wanted to check in. Are you guys all good? Is the book still? You're still writing? Like, I'm just checking." Yeah.
You were.
But he was always positive. Like, he's like, "Yeah, we're getting there." I was just like, "Oh, I'm just being impatient. Okay, I'm gonna stop messaging them now."
Now we was gonna get it done. What was gonna happen? It could be anything that was going to happen. We were getting this done because it was burning in all of our heads. It was burning. Like, we have to get this idea to the people. So the fact that you were reaching out to me, I was like, listen, that's even more motivation to get it out, because you didn't have to do that. You could have been like, all right, it'll be out when it be out. All right, see you in a year, see you in 2 years, see you in 5. Whenever it comes out, you just hit me up. But the fact that you were hitting me up and hitting Words and that gave us even more passion to be like, see, I know this was a good idea. See, I told y'all. That's one of those type of situations.
Yeah, I think when Words mentioned like ages ago that this was originally a script, Like honestly, when I started reading the draft, I could just see it as a movie,
Right.
eh? Like I was thinking about the audience, just different aspects of the story, and I was like, oh my god, this is genius. Like I've never like come across anything like this. I've not seen anything like this idea, this story out there. Like even now talking about it, I'm getting excited. I'm like, okay, are we gonna come back for another interview when the film comes out and you guys are even more famous? I'm just sorry, I'm getting way ahead of myself, but you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
That's the thought behind it. I mean, that's the thought behind it.
It's going to happen.
Man. And then for both of you, what has kind of been the biggest learning curve from this experience as co-authors of a children's book?
I think really trying to get the story to have, okay, here's the thing. You can't keep everything.
That's true.
Because that's what it is. Like to make it a good story, it's like I've learned that from writing hundreds of rhymes. I got a lot of rhymes that I write on a page. I got 16 bars. You know what I'm saying? I only can say 16 of them. But I'm up there, oh, I left this out, I left this out, I left this out. So I think you have to kind of learn the fact that to get things done, you let it all out, but then be comfortable. You're gonna have to downsize it and be happy with and confident that when you get to that point that it's downsized, that you feel comfortable with it, that it's enough for people to take in and be happy with. And another key to that is nobody knows what you cut out. So like I get people that be like, I don't know, you know, like not only on writing a book, but even songs. I've heard people be like, "Yo, I just want to add that 4 bars," and I'm like, "Yo, nobody's gonna know that you didn't add the extra 4 bars." Like this is, so just being able to realize that nobody knows until you put it out, and it's okay. Everything can make it in there. There's a lot of albums that we bought and we listened to. This song's left off that album. So just having that understanding.
I think I will go with that as well because remember, this is my first project. So when I'm writing the whole thing, I'm taking it serious. Like, oh, this is gonna be phenomenal. Look at all these jokes. Yes, this is gonna be great. But I remember the first time where we went through the editing part where we would say, nah, we should try to take this out. This may be too many jokes, or not even too many jokes, but this is just like a filler. You understand? And I was just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? That doesn't make no sense. Please don't take it out. So I had to. It's more of a learning curve for me because I know Words went through this already. And the crazy thing is when I'm writing jokes, I'm doing the same thing. Like I have a show that's coming up next month that's in like an hour show. So I probably have like 2.5 hours in my head right now. But obviously, if it's an hour show, an hour and a half of it is not going to make it. So when he was doing the editing part, as far as the book, I didn't compartmentalize like, hey, you do the same thing all the time. Calm down.
Yeah.
So at first I was just like, this is terrible. We're taking out so much stuff. And when I read it again, I was just like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. It's kind of smooth now. So
yeah, and vice versa. When I took something out and it messed up the story sequence and it logic, he would be like, "Yo, you took this out. It don't make sense." And he tell me, I'd be like, "All right, let's fix it."
yeah,
Because it's I understand if you feel it doesn't make sense, I'll just be like, "Let's fix it." So I think my experience of that side of already working in TV and other things and stuff getting axed, I'm already so used to it. It doesn't offend me because I'm just like, yeah, that's fine. That's what happens to get to the best product. That's going to happen. It's going to happen. But I always say, leave it all out there, but be very open to letting it get chopped down. That's the best thing. You get all these ingredients. You don't necessarily need everything.
yeah.
So.
So it's available on Kindle. It's available as paperback, hardcover. I have to ask,
Yeah.
right there. I have to ask, I'm a fan of audiobooks, and I just feel like you know what it is? I have to know whether there's going to be an audiobook version. Maybe not now, but is there, because I want to hear the characters. I know we're talking about
Yeah,
the script. I can actually visualize it and see it
I
now on the big
know.
screen, but
We're on
I
it.
just
We're on it. We're on it already, trying to figure that part out. So the good thing about like having Darnell is like he'll be mentioning stuff that I'm thinking about too, but he'll already have the person on the phone ready to go. You know what I'm saying?
oh,
With me, I'm kind of more of like, I guess this how I am, just like kind of cautiously optimistic with things, and I kind of take time, and I have to ask questions about it. And but I'm just excited as you. It's just that I'm just more just like, okay, got to survey it. So it's about getting somebody, but then thinking and hearing how you're saying it. Do do you want to just hear somebody read the book, or do you want to hear somebody read the book, but then do you want to hear us as characters, different people doing each line? So there's a lot that goes into it, deciding on it. So we're on top of that right now. We're already in discussions of that. But those are some things you have to ask, because I have a recording set up here. Maybe I can do Russell parts. Maybe, he can do Holy parts. And then we got somebody else that can record these parts. So I think it's really about not just getting it done just so it's to say it's done. I think we really can think about, do we want to take it to a level that it actually has our voices doing the part? We haven't discussed that. This is the first time I mentioned that aspect. But that's the things I'm thinking about, because your interpretation of it, those are maybe a little bit different than what we're thinking. So I just like to question those things before we do it and stuff like that.
yeah, I think I'm sorry, Dana, to cut him, but I think for me, like, I don't know if you know that the Sandman, they have a full cast. Like it's like such an amazing thing. Like for me with this book, I'm not thinking, that one person that's gonna I'm getting excited, like I need to hear each of these characters
No.
because what the personality and character they bring to the story, like it won't do it justice if it's one. Sorry, I'm getting a bit excited. I love audiobooks, but I also love full cast. Like I just think um sorry, let me stop. Go ahead, Darnell, if you have something to say.
You making sense, because
Yeah.
we all have kids. So we all have kids that can read. So maybe our kids and daughters could do characters. It's a lot to it that I think about before just kind of doing it. I just love the fact that the passion is there from his side to push forward with doing it. So that means it's going to get done.
Yeah.
It's just that I think we have to be more strategic in what we're doing, because once that's recorded, that's recorded. Nobody's reading that book again and doing all that, So, but yeah, we're definitely discussing it. Actually he texted me yesterday about it.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's definitely going to be an audio book, but like both of you guys are saying, at first we were just like, oh, we'll just have somebody read it. I actually, like he said, I had somebody ready to go. Oh, you want me to do it? I'll do it. No problem. I got just send me the money and we'll make it happen. I'll get it back to you in 3 days. I'm like, 3 days? That's what I'm talking about. 3 days. Oh man, this is great. It's a weekend. That's fine by me. But yeah, no, but then when you start to think about it again, just like myself and Words and Lamar, this is a movie to us. This is going to be a movie. So if we have a cast that are doing all the voices, when somebody's hearing it, they're like, again, the whole getting everybody on our team. Why isn't this a movie? Like, this thing is amazing and it has so many lessons and it's great and it's funny so getting a cast to do it, we know will take time, but we're more likely to go that route only because the vision is movie. So if we have on our side is saying why this should be a movie, probably having the whole cast and you listen to it, you can visualize it as well.
Yeah, I think, and that's the thing about it. We can have a meeting about it and discuss it and then go through it and then execute. And you got to have a team to do that. And that's what's so great about me, Darnell, Lamar. We get on these calls and things come to life. It's not just like it doesn't just stay in our mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's the audio book will happen. It will definitely happen. It's we just wanted to make sure it's right.
And so, do each of you have a favorite character from the book that stands out from the rest?
I kind of like. I might probably like the like Arthur Argyle. I probably like Argyle on the basis of
He has a good story.
he brings the realism to the Soul City existence.
Yeah.
Right. Like he's able to have you understand the plight of socks and things like that. So he's that pinpoint in the book. When you reach him and you get to him, you have an understanding of why the world exists, and it actually gives you understanding of how to the personification that's there, and you're able to attach to the characters emotionally. There's a reason behind it.
Yeah,
I might say Arthur.
Yeah.
Argyle.
Yeah, Arthur is definitely a good character. For me, hands down, there's no way that Holy is my favorite character. When you read Holy, and I always say this to people that are reading the book. The book is phenomenal from the first word to the last word. That's what I believe. From the first word to the last word, the book is phenomenal. But to me, when you reach Holy, you're gonna see how the book takes like a crazy comedic turn. I would say Fred is comedic, I would say, but he's more innocent than anything else. But Holy is speaking from a sock that has, and you can see just by the way the character looks, he's speaking on a life. He's listen. I've been living this life. This is I'm older. I've been around. You see all these scars I have. He is speaking based on his appearance and how he feels about how socks should be where they should be and things like that. He is a silly sock, and sarcastic, but he is just speaking his truth. And I think when you get to him, the story takes a wild kind of like comedic turn from there and all the way into the end of the story.
You know, I think what's really another aspect of the book that I really like is that you just get so into the story that you forget that it's like socks.
Yeah.
Because the human emotions, just the experiences that each of those socks or characters bring to the plot, you know, to the story, you just forget, because it's like, oh, this is actually something I have those feelings, or I've had a similar experience. Like you just kind of forget it's like socks. So I think that's what I really like, is that it really taps into that part, like our human emotions naturally, and that's what can resonate with different readers regardless of the age.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
Well, before anything, I don't know if you're closing up, but we got to thank you, because I always use you as the person to help me edit. You help me edit my other book and things like that, and I respect your opinion, because you read a lot of things, so you can judge and find the sweet spot for stuff. So I definitely want to thank you for taking time, because time is valuable. You don't get time back, so to use your time to help us is priceless.
Absolutely, yes. Definitely thank you. I'm telling you, we would write each other, and you'd be like, "Anytime soon," and I'm like, "Trust me, we working. Trust me, I promise you, it is never going to stop." There was no way in the world we were not going to come out with this book. It was just impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate it. Like I just being able to, read that draft, going through that drafting process. I think in the beginning I was freaking out, and I remember saying to Words, "Oh, you know what? I logged into the document and I saw your friend Darnell on, and I quickly logged off." I was just like, I know you guys are tight and everything, but man, I don't want to be like, commenting and like, offending him. But then it's so interesting because Words is like, it's professional. You just say what you got to say and get it done. But honestly, at the beginning, I was freaking out. That's why I had to do some research on you. And I was like, oh, no, I think he's all good because, he's got a sense of humor. He's a comedian. Okay. Yeah. But no, I the opportunity just to Yeah, oh, it's honestly, it's such an honor.
Well,
And
you know, you're in there. You know, you're in there in the book.
Hey, you're in the book.
With the edited eye. So we gotta get you a copy and stuff, things like that. And so that's another thing with Darnell. So with the book, just making sure uploading and making sure things are properly uploaded, names and stuff. We want to make sure the people that took time out and helped us get this far were in there. So yeah, we want to thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Appreciate it. So I want to before as we start to wrap up, I want to know, like, how can people find you? Like, what other projects are you working on? Now you're a podcast host.
Yes.
Plug it, bro, plug it. Tell us a little bit about what you've coming up, and also as a podcast host, like, how can we tune in? How can the audience find you?
Absolutely. So you can reach me on Instagram. It's Darnell Wright. I actually was probably one of the first people on Instagram because I actually got my full name on this, so that's pretty cool. Same thing on Facebook. I'm a Darnell Wright, but I'd rather plug the actual Instagram for the Socks Book, and it's at the Socks Book. We actually got that too, the Socks Book. That's on Instagram and Facebook. I have a podcast with my good friend Daniel. That's the D&D podcast. That's on all platforms. So you just put in D&D podcast, and then that will come up. I have a show that's coming up. I'm actually doing my friend's wedding. She's having a wedding, and I'm doing a whole hour for a wedding. It's probably about 250 people. So that's going to be fun. Again, so it's promoting the book at the same time, but trying to get all my jokes down. I can't wait to do that. That's going to be up in Jersey, so I'm excited to do that. And I'm always doing little comedy clubs here and there. Always popping up and doing some jokes here and there. So outside of the book, that's my focus right now. The book is out. Please go to Amazon. All you got to put in Socks Book, not books, put in Socks Book, and you'll be able to find it on Amazon. And again, we have paperback, Kindle, hardcover. Audio is right around the corner. I promise you, we will 100% have an audio, because I know people just like to sit in their car and listen to audio books nowadays. But yeah, that's everything for me. Where before you go now, how you hear me talk here and how you hear me talk on the podcast is nothing like the book. PG. I'm about as PG. I might even be G in the book now. But on the podcast, I'm definitely rated R. I'm just talking. I'm just speaking my mind. I'm an adult. Speaking my regular Darnell on there. So if you ever been to one of my shows, the podcast is definitely like my shows. But the book, trust me, you listen to the podcast, you're like, I'm not getting that book. You're probably using the F word. Listen,
I've listened to your podcast.
Yeah.
So that was part of my research. I was like, who is this other author? Oh, I got to listen to yes, cool, bro. That's all good.
So just as long as you guys know, the book is G, podcast is R.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm on Instagram at Wordsworth BKLYN, and then Twitter and Wordsworth _EMC, Facebook, and all of that. Right now, the book is out, and then also the Fragility of Life. I was looking at the vinyl up there, but there's CD for this here. There's also digital. It's on every service and everything, streaming service. And then recently, I recorded a curriculum for the University of Miami, so I'm working on getting that finally out. So, and then got some other music coming up down the line, and just working on a whole bunch of stuff. I like to be. There's a phrase my friend told me, like growing in the dark. So I like to kind of grow in the dark, and then when somebody turns the light on, they realize like how big the plant grew. So that's kind of what I got going on right now is working on all of those things and getting people to buy socks and coming up with other ways to promote it, but get it in the hands of the people that can get these films done. So that's what I've been working on, and got some traction. I think that'll probably surprise people down the line.
Oh, I'm excited. Like, I'm excited. It's so cool to hear that both of you got projects that you're working on. But I'm really excited to see what comes of the release of Socks, and what's the next step, and then
Yeah,
bam, red carpet, go to the movie now.
yeah. That's in my mind. I'm very low key, but it's in my mind. Trust
Okay, so we're about to wrap up the show. I once again, Words, Darnell, man, I'm so grateful. It's an honor to know you both and just to have you on the show to talk about this amazing children's book that you have co-authored. Man, I'm a fan, and I'm so excited to see, where we're going with the Socks book. We'll do our best to, keep plugging, put you all
Thank
on
you.
blast. And I really, we're at that part of the year. November's going to be over soon, and then we're heading into the festive season. So I really want to wish you both all the best with any projects left for the remainder of the year. Wishing you and your families just a safe and happy festive season. Yeah, man. It's
Yeah.
just an honor to be able to do this for you guys, and I'm just excited to see where we go from here. So thank you so much for coming
Thank
on the
you.
show and just doing your thing. We're gonna hand it over to you just to drop some final words of wisdom, some encouragement. Go ahead.
Yeah, I would just say, if you're gonna find a group of people, and just make sure y'all stick to a schedule. Try to stick to a schedule, and you'll get things done. Deadline, set a deadline for yourself. If you don't make it, at least get to that deadline with what you got, and then reset the deadline if you need to. But I think you gotta work within a time frame to get things completed. So I would just say, don't give up on what you're trying to do. Just maybe restructure how to get it done.
My words of advice would be, if you are writing the book and it's something you're truly passionate in, it I promise you, you will not let that passion die. Because if it's an idea that you know that the people will enjoy, or it's an idea that you truly believe in, you won't give up, because you would want the people to actually see that project. You would want to see that project through. And I'm just going off for experience, like not writing a book before in my entire life, and then having this opportunity to hear an idea and be part of a team to bring it to life. Again, we started this like 12 years ago. So just to hear an idea 12 years ago, and then 12 years later for it to see an actual the cover of the book, and to see our names on there, and to be like it's out, that just shows you that as long as you have the passion for your idea, it will come to fruition.